Okay, I am here with Devin from Counterpart International at Society for International Development's annual conference, and Counterpart is sponsoring this pop-up studio experience. We thank you, Devin. We thank you, Counterpart. I would love for you to introduce yourself first and tell the folks watching a little bit about what you do at Counterpart and why it's so special.
So my name's Devin O'Shaughnessy. I'm the Senior Director for Governance at Counterpart, which means I oversee our global portfolio of democracy and governance programs. And I've been at Counterpart for about 8 months now, so still a bit new, but I was very excited to join because I've been in the democracy governance sector for 15 years, working with politicians and on elections, but Counterpart really works with civil society and puts civil society at the center of the work. And the opportunity to work with sort of brave and inspiring activists from all corners of the globe has been just a real joy in coming to Counterpart.
Well, Devin, I'm so glad you found your way to Counterpart. We are obviously huge fans of Tech Change. This year's conference theme at SID-US is Power Shift. How do you at Counterpart relate to that theme? What comes to mind for you?
Sure. I mean, there's certainly a few things. I mean, one of the big power shifts that we've been seeing for over a decade and is really accelerated under administrator power is localization. And that takes a number of forms. Certainly there's this move to shift power from the global north to the global south, of which localization is part of that. And I mean, that will be a game change and is a game change in terms of subverting some of the power structures that exist in the world and really offering opportunities for civil society actors and politicians and political voices to shape the destiny of their own countries in new ways. But we also look at power shift sort of at a country level in terms of moving from governments and politicians and corporations to really bringing power back to citizens and civil society. This is a real challenge because those power structures are there for a reason. People in power want to keep power. So helping citizens, particularly marginalized citizens, young people who live outside of the capital, and giving them the sort of confidence and skills and helping them network is one of the true ways you can actually start to shift power. And through shifting power, then you can change socioeconomic future for countries.
No, that's fantastic. I was going to ask you about localization, but I feel like we've tackled that here. Let's talk about innovation. What is Counterpart doing in terms of programming that you would consider to be truly innovative that you'd like to share with the folks watching?
Sure. Well, I mean, Counterpart is known for our civil society work. And so for decades, we've been at the forefront of institutional capacity building, organizational development, sub-granting. And these are still super important mechanisms that we lead the sector on. But we're expanding the way we do that work in a few ways. One is shifting our partners' thinking into using more what we call thinking and working politically approaches. Okay. So that can get quite wonky, but what it really means is helping people understand the political opportunities, the levers, the leverage that by engaging in certain aspects of the political system, political processes, how you can find and create windows of opportunity to drive substantive change. And so by thinking in those ways, conducting political economy analysis, that's one of the keys to innovation. And so we're sharing how different civil society groups around the world are doing this. And that's one of the key advantages of having an international NGO. We have that global network. We have the access to a whole range of perspectives and expertise that we can then share with our partners, and then they use it in their own context and transform it. So I think that's really exciting.
Certainly a powerful model, and I always feel like Counterpart is pioneering some of these truly exciting models and approaches for the sector. So let's bring it back to today. We're here at SID-US. What themes and topics are you most excited about engaging with? As Devin, as Counterpart, tell us where your head is.
Well, a few things. I mean, part of what we're doing increasingly is using cross-sectoral approaches. So in line with the goal of helping democracy deliver, quite often there are stovepipes between what might be happening in education or climate change, environmental action, and they aren't necessarily sort of taking advantage of the opportunities to work with activists, to work grassroots sort of advocacy, mobilization. They tend to be more technical. I'd like to find and create more partnerships with groups that work in these other sectors to say, what can we bring by focusing on the politics, by focusing on the citizen participation side, that will not only sort of drive change in your sector, but make it more citizen focused, and actually the policies that get implemented are the ones that citizens want. And then when you do that, democracy is stronger because people realize, oh, this system is working for me. I have a voice, and it can sort of be a powerful counterpoint to the sort of dictators that they can just get stuff done and like they'll just do this, that, and the other. So, I mean, growing autocratization is a big problem, and so helping democracy deliver is part of the solution.
I love it. I love it. Well, Devin, we're so excited to have you here today, to have you all sponsoring the studio. I do want to ask, if folks want to find out more about Counterpart and some of the great work that you're doing specifically with civil society and on democracy and governance, how do we find you?
Well, you can find our website, of course, is a good way to start, but then also reach out, and we are on all the socials, obviously. So just reach out to us, and let's have a conversation. That's the best way.
All right. Well, we thank you again, Devin, for your time and for sharing with us this morning. All right. All right, thank you so much, team. We are live here in the Ronald Reagan building at the SID-US conference. My name is Nick Martin, CEO of Tech Change, and we are going to be interviewing a whole new round of folks live, getting a sense of the pulse, the buzz, the excitement, the energy here live at this conference. So Claire, you are first into our studio. All right, welcome.
Thank you.
I want to ask you to maybe introduce yourself and talk a bit about your work at DAI.
Sure. Hi, I'm Claire Miller. I work at DAI on our corporate communications team. This is my third time at this SID conference, so I'm excited to be back here. And yeah, it's been great. I've been in the exhibit hall talking to a lot of folks, and yeah, having a good time.
So we have a big topic of power shift at the SID-US conference here this year, but a lot of interesting subtopics boiling up. Everything from diversity inclusion to climate to AI. What are some of the things that stand out to you, or what are you most excited about?
Yeah. I mean, it's been nice having conversations about localization and all these other topics, like you said. I think that it's. There's obviously so many different things going on.
There's a lot. You're good. You're good. I'll help.
Which one I want to focus on, because there's been just such a wealth of different conversations that we've had. So.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here. My last question for you is, how does somebody get a job at DAI? Give us a little bit of the flavor for your journey to land your role.
Sure. Well, our website has all of our current openings. We hire both at our corporate office, one of which is based in Bethesda. We also have corporate offices in several countries around the world. And then, of course, we hire for our projects, which are in all different countries.
All right. Well, Claire, we thank you for joining us in the pop-up studio. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your conference, and good luck with all the great work you're doing at DAI. All right. Awesome. Okay, we are going to invite our next guest. Thank you so much, Claire. Come on down. Welcome. Absolutely, nice to meet you. So we've got our virtual audience joining us here, and we're just interviewing folks, asking them about the day and their work and conference and so forth. So do you want to start just by introducing yourself and saying a bit about your work?
Sure. My name is Mojeeb Stanikzai. I'm working with DAI. I manage some of the projects in Middle East region of the country, and primarily working in Iraq and also Lebanon. The projects that I manage are governance and also watershed management.
You sound like hard projects. What is the most difficult thing about your job? Is there anything that comes to mind that you want to share?
I think the most important thing that is with my job is really the topic of this conference, which is the power shift. So when you are looking and working in any country, you need to do a simple power map to see where the power reside and how to use that power to the benefit of implementing your project to the benefit. If it is service delivery, if it is watershed management, if it is refugee resettlement, whatever that is. But the important thing is to see where is that power and how that can be shifted towards the need and towards the facilitation of the work that you do.
So certainly a lot of conversation around localization, around power shift today. Are there specific sessions that you've attended or that you plan on attending that are particularly relevant?
Yeah, I attended the refugee resettlement session, and one thing that I noticed there, that there is still a strong need for community realization, host communities, acceptance and realization, because if there is no acceptance of the host communities to the refugees that they are resettling in, the refugees that are coming, they will never believe being part of that, and then the host communities will not accept them. So in a way, you are shifting them from one prison to another prison. And of course, the nature of threat would be different. For example, in the previous prison, they might have been killed or whatsoever, but in the new prisons, they would be morally attacked. For example, they should be mentally disturbed. When they go out, everybody would be calling them like, hey, you're not from this country. So the important thing is that how to maneuver government policies towards accepting those refugees and how to work with host communities to give them to welcome the refugees that they are coming to their societies, and also to help them integrate. Once you bring refugees from one area and put them all in one camp, you isolate them even from that start. So it shouldn't be in a camp. There should be more integration, integrate them differently into the way how we do it here in the United States, for example. We do not
integration centers and a lot of support networks and caseworkers.
And you do not have like a kind of a certain areas that all refugees, you must go only to this area. No, they integrate. They go to different communities, they meet like among the neighborhood. They meet, for example, if one is from their own country, 10 or more are US citizens, and they can easily integrate, they can easily talk. So that's how the world should change and try to do the similar thing.
Well, listen, we thank you for your time. We thank you for coming by. We hope you enjoy the rest of the event. And thank you for the important and meaningful work that you do on the front lines in Iraq and the Middle East. Really, really incredible and inspiring. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, all right. We are going to invite another colleague. Come on down. Come on down. We are ready for you. Okay, I'm going to have you stand over here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to have you introduce yourself and share a bit about your work with the folks watching online.
Terrific. Hi, I'm Stefanie Kendall. I am the Technical Director for Education and Emergencies and Primary and Pre-Primary Education at FHI 360.
It's a big job.
It's a big job. I know. We do a lot of good work. And I'll tell you, let's see, what I'm thinking about here at this conference.
Yeah, what's on your mind? What kind of themes or topics are resonating?
You know, what's resonating quite a bit is how we do things in the back shop. So there was a speaker at the lunchtime panel, and I'm not sure if your virtual audience
They likely did.
Great. So there was one comment about 2% inflation or interest increase means sort of an exponential increase in climate change programming. Climate change programming is far more expensive as interest rates increase, which made me think about how organizations like the ones here are thinking about and creating solutions to drive down costs in order to expend more funding when that inflation rate increases. So my question really is how to, my line of inquiry coming out of this is how can we as a group of implementers working on extraordinarily challenging issues really confront the things that create barriers to us doing effective work in the field.
These are big questions, and we haven't talked a lot about inflation in this pop-up studio today. But I feel like it's looming in the background behind everything, and it should be more surfaced and topical for how it affects everything.
I completely agree, and I've got to thank this conference for bringing that point up and point to bear. I think that if we don't, as these groups, confront the more difficult things in our world as ostensibly people who want to help people, we're not really going to get very far. So, at the end of the day, understanding too how to break down cross-sector silos, how can we as sectors really operate effectively in humanitarian contexts. When it comes to, protection as well as economic growth, as well as safety and security on all levels, how do we do that? And I think this is a place to really start pushing those lines of inquiry. The other thing, just for virtual people out here in this hall, you've got probably 40, 50. How many vendors?
We did a little booth walk, and we did some interviews, and so hoping to record and post some of those. But yeah, give us a sense of the experience and the vibe.
As a person in education, right? I know the players in education, but for me, I'm really intrigued about what else is pushing into this international development space where we can forge relationships that will hopefully crack these more difficult nuts, right? So what does it look like to people, a project with various consultants from all over the map as far as sector experience and ways of thinking, right? Because you want different ways of thinking in order to create creativity. Yeah. So that's sort of what I've been doing out there, is getting to know folks who are not on my regular beat.
Yeah, that's exciting. Some cross-pollination with that crowd. Well, I'm so impressed and inspired by the work that you do, and obviously a long-time FHI 360 fan, so great to know that you're doing incredible work and that you're engaging fully in this event today.
Thanks so much. So great to meet you, and take good care.
All right, thank you, Stefanie. We appreciate you and your time. Okay, we are going to get a few more questions in here, and I wonder, Amanda, let's get another. We're going to have you come, and do you have the iPad so that I can pull up some of the questions from the audience? I think it might be in my bag here. We'll do that as well. So,
I hear you know Gabriel.
I do know Gabriel. Oh, fantastic. Yes, a very dear friend of mine. Hope we can get him on camera today. Okay, thank you so much. So I want to start just by having you introduce yourself. Come a little bit over here, and we'll kind of face the camera a little bit. But face me, but we'll kind of talk to the folks at home too. Okay, so share a little bit about you and your work with the folks who are watching.
Sure. My name is Rajeev Colaco, and I work in monitoring, evaluation, research, and learning at RTI International.
Is there a project or a series of activities that you are working on right now that you're really passionate about that you want to share with folks?
Yeah, I think what I'm most passionate about is something that aligns well with the theme of this conference, which is around power shifts. When we think of power shifts, we usually think about people in local communities leading and owning their own decision making. And what I always like to think of is taking a step back. And I feel for people to lead their own decision making, they first need to lead and own their own data, their own learning, and their own knowledge.
It sounds intuitive, but that's actually a pretty big deal.
It is a very big deal. And on one hand, it feels like it's easier said than done. But I think the good news is that even today we have a lot of tools and approaches that already work. Yeah. I know that USAID Learning Lab and other organizations have a lot of...
Certainly trying. And a lot of effort and energy and people time being devoted to getting some of these pieces right.
No, absolutely. And I think a perfect world in terms of that power shift would be if we as international development practitioners can serve as catalysts and facilitators so that people in local communities are the ones really learning, turning their knowledge into practice, and sharing their learning with the rest of the world. And I think that is what that power shift would be about in the end.
I see one of these questions coming in from the audience is like, how do we really be honest about what it's going to take to power shift? And it sounds like, for you at least, this kind of learning and sharing dimension is front and center.
Yeah, and I think being honest with ourselves and with our clients and with our governments as to what it takes resources. It takes time. It takes financial resources. But let's remember, it's what can give us sustainable results in the long term. So it's a good investment.
Yeah. Well, Rajeev, these are profound and important words to be sharing with us. We thank you for your time. We thank you for the work that you do at RTI. And we hope that folks who are watching can connect with you and the great work you're doing at your organization.
Thank you so much.
All right. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your event. Okay. All right. Come on down. Okay. All right. Hi there. How are you?
How are you.
I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and then we're going to ask some really hard-hitting questions around the experience today, what's happening at the conference, topics that are meaningful and rising to the surface for you. But first, introduce yourself.
I am Sarah Kozyn. I'm a senior manager with APT Associates in our International Development Division.
And we've had a few folks from APT on, so I'm really excited to carry on the conversation. So Sarah, we've been here a couple hours already today. What kind of themes and topics are emerging for you that feel really resonant and important?
Yeah, great question. So I focus on agriculture, food security, economic growth at APT. There was a session this morning. We heard a lot about food security, about resilient food systems, about their impact on nutrition. So it's definitely part of the conversation. Yeah.
Any big takeaways from that one that you want to share? The effect of climate, we've talked a little bit about that. A lot of folks sharing their thoughts on localization. Any big themes that emerged from that session?
Yeah, something about kind of complex systems and food systems being, really involving a lot of actors. Really, if you poke something here, you have to look at the effects over here and over here and over here, and paying attention to all of those connections, which I think is something that we're doing, but it's helpful to be reminded that it's something you need to pay attention to.
All right, so Sarah, we had a question come in on the discussion thread on the virtual platform asking what life and learning look like for people in their roles in international development. So you're at APT, you're working on food security. How do you stay current and do your own professional development? How do you stay abreast of the current trends?
Yeah. I have a pretty big network of people who work in this space, and we talk both formally and informally about what we're doing, projects we're working on, what's going well, what's not going well across other implementing partners. And I think that gives you a sense of, you're looking at people as doing the exact same thing in a different place and sharing those learnings. So the fact that you can do that within APT across projects, but you can also do it across implementing partners just with friends and colleagues is, I think, a great way to understand kind of where you can be going and what's possible.
Any tips for folks? I know APT does a lot of hiring in this space. Interested to hear a little bit about how your journey unfolded that led you to APT, and then how that would translate to somebody who might be looking right now to find a job in this sector.
So I've been with APT for 9 years.
9 years, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of different roles, and I've been able to pivot from focusing a lot on business development, a lot on technical things, a lot on project management to kind of...
You've done a lot in the same org.
I have. So my advice is kind of when you find something that fits, you can make it work for you, and I think I've been really lucky in that way. But I think networking is really important. I think cultural fit is really important, so I would encourage people to just talk with folks from lots of different organizations and find what resonates.
Yeah, certainly wise words, Sarah. So we thank you so much for your time and your energy. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your conference, and we appreciate all the great work you're doing at APT. Okay, you take care. Bye-bye. All right, come on in. We are ready for you. All right, welcome to the pop-up studio. I'm going to start by having you introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Ethiopia Haileyesus, and I'm an energy sector senior associate at Tetra.
Okay, so Ethiopia, how are you feeling about today's conference? What are some of the themes, topics that are resonating with you?
Today has been amazing. I've learned so much, a lot about food security, a lot about climate finance, climate change, and how to build resiliency and to adapt to changing situations around the world.
So imagine I am totally new to food security, and I am maybe intrigued by what it means to have a career or learn about it in the context of international development. What advice would you give me?
So food security has always been an issue, but even so, more right now. And so it's something that everyone should be looking at. Food security includes the whole system. So not only working with farmers, but also processing and even cold storage, and making food also nutritious. So it's not only providing and producing food, but also making sure that it's nutritious for everyone.
All right, so Ethiopia, my last question for you. Your day-to-day at the office, doing your work, what does it look like? Give us a little flavor for that.
Yeah, so at Tetra we implement transformative energy projects. So what I do is we help modernize utilities and power systems, working closely with utilities. I'm also working closely at the energy and agriculture nexus. So improving livelihoods and families and households, farmers, have solar water pumps so that they can irrigate all year round, milling and cold storage.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, these are cool things to be working on for sure. Well, listen, we thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming to the studio, and we wish you wonderful luck on your journey as an international development professional. Enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, lots of good interviews here, friends. We're ready for whoever's next. Come on in. Hi there. Are we going to do both of you? 3? Oh my gosh. Matt just slipped out. He's like, you know what? You got it. Okay, come on in a little closer to me. Okay, I'm going to have you both just introduce yourselves, and you can look at me, you can look at the camera, wherever you want. This is pretty informal, okay?
Cara Gettridge.
Okay, great.
Noha Hussein.
Okay, and tell me a bit about what y'all do and where you work.
We're with DT Global.
DT Global, both of you?
Yes.
So give us a little bit of a flavor for what DT Global does. Is there a particular project y'all are working on that you're excited about? Anything you want to share?
Well, I am in the HR team. I'm the head of HR. And so right now our current project, given the fact that DT Global is growing and expanding, is prioritizing its people.
And you're trying to hire people too, I would imagine.
Always trying to hire top talented people.
You hear that, friends who are watching? Here you go. New friend here. And are you also on the HR team?
No, I'm the Vice President for Global Engagement, so I work on the global team. And I have the pleasure of working with teams across the US, Australia, UK, Spain, Nairobi. We're a global implementing partner, and with 2,500 staff and growing, as Cara just mentioned, and we're implementing programs in international development across regions.
Big fans of DT Global, a tech change. I know y'all have done a lot to make today happen on the SID conference here. Tell me a bit about the experience today. What sessions or topics are emerging for you as the most pressing and important?
Well, people are looking for a great organization to work for. And one thing that I've been highlighting about DT Global is that not only are we prioritizing impact externally with our projects, but also internally with our people. We're a listening organization that prioritizes its people. And people have really liked to hear that.
Yeah, it's a good, definitely a good sell, and I can say with honesty that you're one of the best at this. So, anything come to mind for you today as you experience the SID conference?
Yeah, definitely. Localization is really at the heart of what we do, and we just hosted an awesome panel on our program in Zambia. And so we, together with USAID, working on localization, shifting the power to our local partners, building their capacity, and achieving the impact that we desire.
I love it. Well, thank you both so much for the work that you do. If there's somebody watching who wants a job at DT Global, how do they find you?
They go to our careers page.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely. Or they can look me up, Cara Gettridge at DT Global. I am on LinkedIn, and please hit me up. I always respond.
There you go. That is a glowing endorsement. Well, we thank you both so much for coming by and for the important work you do in the world.
Thank you.
All right, you take care. Okay. All right, I think we are ready for our next guest. We're just running through them. Okay, Jeffrey, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome. Okay, so I'm going to have you introduce yourself to the folks watching virtually and then share a little bit about what you do.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jeff Singer. I'm Senior Vice President of International Development at Nathan, a Cadmus company, and I oversee all of our international work at this point.
That's a big job.
Seems to be bigger every day.
So here we are at the SID conference with 1,000 of our closest colleagues and friends. What topics and themes are sticking out for you?
Yeah, no, it's been really interesting. I mean, for us, now that Nathan is part of Cadmus and really the focus on climate change, adaptation, resilience is really the thing that I'm most excited about in terms of my new role as part of Cadmus, and really learning about some of the more innovative approaches that people are taking to deal with those challenges.
Is there a specific project or activity that you would be willing to share with us on climate that could excite the folks watching at home?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, in the Caribbean, Cadmus is working on resilience issues there. And actually, we're also very involved with USAID on ensuring that all programs are building climate issues into it. So not just climate projects, but economic growth, health, education. And I think that's a really important thing. As we heard today, it's something that has to be really mainstreamed into all activities.
All right, so there was a question online about what the day-to-day looks like for an international development professional. What does the day-to-day look like for a vice president at a major implementing organization?
You know, every day is different. When you wake up, you never know what you're going to find in your email inbox. Look, it's a combination of being supportive of our folks, particularly in the field. As we all know, we work in some really challenging environments, and I think it's important to be there for them. That's where the work is, right? And with our partners and with our staff there. So that's first and foremost on top of mind. And then really, it's also really staying engaged with what's important to our key stakeholders and our clients on a day-to-day basis, and making sure that we're delivering for them, and that we're really thinking about those issues each and every day that we're working.
Well, Jeffrey, we can't thank you enough for the work that you do in the sector at Nathan, and really looking forward to having you continue this conversation and enjoy the rest of your day at this conference and so forth. All right?
Great. Thank you so much.
All right. You take care. Okay, I think we have, okay, wonderful. I'm going to switch hands here. Hello, hello, hello. Good, good, good. Welcome.
Thanks.
So I'm going to start just by having you introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Earl Gast. I'm the president of URC.
All right, fantastic. So for folks who are watching who may not be as familiar with URC, do you want to share just a few highlights of the cool stuff that you're doing?
We're doing a lot of cool stuff, and we work very closely with USAID. We're a USAID implementing partner, but we also partner with DOD, the World Bank, and other development organizations. But we specialize in global health. And that includes everything from health system strengthening to global health security to tuberculosis and malaria elimination. So some very exciting things.
We've had the chance over the years to work with URC at Tech Change, and can honestly say what a great partner and what an incredible leader you all are as a USAID implementer.
Well, great. Well, thanks for that.
So I want to ask, we're here today at SID-US. You've come to a lot of these, I take it. You've been in the sector a long time. What feels different today? What kind of themes are emerging and rising to the surface for you?
Yeah, those are different themes from years past, but very consistent with the push of the administration, and also what OEC DAC is pushing for, and that's localization and also shifting the power balance to people whom we want to benefit.
So one of the questions we got asked online was, what does the day-to-day look like for a professional in international development? What does it look like for you as the president of a large implementing organization?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, my focus is on growing the business. So I love implementation. I was a USAID Foreign Service Officer for 24 years. But right now it is growing the business and understanding how to work in a new paradigm, in a new model, where we're putting local organizations up top and supporting them. So that puts a lot of strain on us and also generates a lot of creative thinking.
And can I ask, because I think people would be interested in this, 24 years is a long time to be a foreign service officer. Was there a country or a post that really stuck out to you that made a huge impact on your journey?
I would say a couple. One would be the Philippines, and that's because it was my first foreign service posting.
Wow.
A second one would be Ukraine, and I served there for 7 years.
You did?
I did. My last assignment there was from 2005-2008, and I served there as the USA Mission Director.
Incredible.
Yes, and I'm heading back to Ukraine next month.
And URC is actively working on some health projects, or?
We are, and in fact, we're having an event tomorrow at CSIS, which also includes Ambassador Markarova, and it's on mental health in Ukraine.
Such an important topic.
Absolutely, and so we've been asked by USAID through a global health mechanism to go in and help establish the evidence base for community-based health models.
I mean, that's incredible, and it's such an important work, and especially it must be very meaningful for you having worked and lived there for so long.
And it will be an emotional time for me as well.
Wow. Well, I thank you for sharing that story with us, and just excited to continue to support the great work that y'all do.
Great. Well, thank you for hosting me.
Absolutely. All right, you take care. All right, I think we are ready for maybe another guest here. Come on down. Come on, it looks like it's you. I'm gonna put my iPad down, shake your hand. How are you?
Thank you. Wonderful. Yourself?
Doing well. So wanted to have you just introduce yourself to the camera here and the folks watching live, and share a little bit about some of your impressions of the day.
Impressions of the day. Hi, I'm David Barth. I'm the head of international programs for Save the Children, which is one of the world's largest federated set of institutions fighting for kids' rights all around the globe. And today's been a great day. It's been a great day because it was it was centered on the right idea of really we have to we have to have a radical rethink of our industry, and this was in many ways an industry event. And the question is, are we serious? Are we going to be held accountable? We have, again, everybody here, we've accrued power and resources in the billions over decades, and we're still a gatekeeper in that space. And is that the best thing for the world? And I think it was a serious conversation. I think people's hearts are in the right place. I think the how we do it is more complicated than just saying it.
It certainly is, but I will say, having come to this for many years like you, it does seem like there's a new kind of conversation happening.
Yeah, and I think intentions are good, and I think people are serious. I think you've seen some increase in diversity here in the people who've shown up, but we're not nearly where we need to be as a community, and so that's got to change. And then helping our donors, public, private, philanthropic, to maybe forget some of the myths that moving money directly to local organizations is not only a shift in power, it is not dangerous, it is not risky. Now, fair to say, it's not just, again, USAID wishing it to be true when you've got, our industry is going to have to lobby to Congress and say, one of the reasons why this is hard is compliance, is, our expectations for the way resources flow, particularly out of public donors. There's a lot of room to grow, but there's a lot of hearts in the right place.
Well, I think that's good to hear you say, and it's good. I've heard a lot of that, a lot of a real genuine desire to have these conversations around localization from a number of folks today. Talk to us a little bit about the things you're most excited about at SAVE. You all are one of the biggest, most well-respected operators in this sector. What's top of mind for you from a program standpoint in 2023?
Well, I think for an organization our size, we're pretty single-minded. We basically do three things. We're 25,000 people in 100 plus countries, whatever, but no child should die of preventable causes before age 5. All children should have access to a quality basic education, and all children are to be protected. Now, each one of those is complex in its implementation, but we think that this year, the intersection of new technologies, access to new resources, and our focus on moving a much larger portion of the resources that we come into directly to local organizations has been productive already. In 22, we moved $186 million through local organizations, 10% of our humanitarian work, which just kind of puts us at the top of of those of us who sign on to the grand bargain. But again, it's not enough. It's not good enough.
You still got to push.
It's not dramatic enough. But we're starting to really develop the proof, the case that this works. It's effective. It's powerful. So that's exciting. I try and balance my excitement with the anxiety.
I like how hard you are on yourself and your organization.
Well,
it does seem like we got to do better.
It's a world beset by conflict, and I don't see that improving. It's a world where, yes, we're having a great conversation too, but my mind is on Myanmar and Bangladesh today, and so we cannot relent in changing the conversation, because even if everyone who showed up today did the world's best work with all the resources they could access, that's still not enough. Countries themselves have to reallocate their budgets, domestic resources have to be generated, and there needs to be a radical rethinking about the social contract. And so we need to
it's a lot of power shifting.
Well, it is both. We need to be world class at the programs we do, but advocacy has to be effective to transform the way we think about how to solve these problems. SID does a great job at setting that up, so we're really grateful.
Well, we can't thank you enough for coming here, for representing Save the Children, having these hard conversations, and we wish you the best of luck in your really, truly important and meaningful work.
Well, we appreciate it.
All right, you take care. Thanks so much. All right, that was an incredibly deep and thoughtful conversation. Let's continue the thread here. Nicole, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you doing?
Tell us who you are and where you work.
My name's Nicole Choa, and I work for ACDI VOCA.
Okay, all right, great organization.
Yeah.
And what are you up to for them?
I'm the vice president of the Resilience and Growth Division, so doing project management and business development.
And ACDI VOCA, as I understand it, usually works on like food security, issues of agriculture. Are you expanding beyond that? When you think of growth, where is your work taking you and the organization?
Well, we've actually recently won some really interesting projects in Colombia. We have the Youth Resilience Activity.
That's interesting.
Yeah, a large project working with youth. And we also have the Indigenous People and Afro-Colombian Empowerment Activity, which is also a flagship project for USAID in Colombia.
Wow, okay. And that's already underway, happening as we speak?
Yeah, it's been underway. I think YRA is in about midway, and the IPACE project, the Indigenous Peoples Project, is about a year and a half in.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about today. You're here at SID. We're talking about power shift. We're talking about climate, localization, DEI. What are the topics that really resonate with you?
Well, I think, we've been really talking about all of these, and we were seeing it very much on our projects. For the longest time, we have been having a local focus on our projects. Specifically, a lot of what they've been discussing today resonates about getting and going in as we build and design these projects, doing it with the communities that are going to be benefiting for them. And so I think that's a large approach for ACDI VOCA that we've been doing for quite some time, and helped see the implementation be even better because of that.
I love it. My last question for you, what's one thing you want the audience watching to know about ACDI VOCA? What's one thing that you want them to take away about your org?
Well, actually, we're celebrating our 60 years.
60 years! Wow!
We have a lot of different things that are coming up in our social media, opportunities to be able to engage with the organization. We have a volunteer challenge, as we've got our roots in volunteerism around the world.
Cool is that?
Yeah, so it's just an awesome time to be with the organization right now, and we've been implementing some great projects that we've just started this year, and I'm really excited about them.
Well, Nicole, we can't thank you enough for the work that you do day in and day out on these important topics, and we hope you have a great rest of your conference.
Yeah, thanks
All right, hope you enjoy. And wow, what a series of really interesting conversations from so many folks. Do we have another person ready to go? Anybody else want to join us before we... Just wait 1 sec, friends. I'm getting some instructions from the say one more time. Okay. I think we will stop there with the live portion, but we've got some great recorded talks coming up. And thank you again for tuning in. What an incredible series of conversations this was. All right, friends, I want you to tell us who you are and what brings you out today.
My name is Dickson Otieno, and I come from Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, the US, and we're just pleased here today to make the connections, to meet some friends, and just to talk about the global work that we do, and just to network.
All right, Thomas, over to you.
Yes, I'm Thomas Archibald. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for International Research, Education, and Development at Virginia Tech, working closely together with Dickson and other colleagues here today. And we're just really excited to be a sponsor of the conference and to see old colleagues and make new partnerships as we expand our global impact as an engaged higher education institution.
We've got hundreds of people watching online. Is there a project or an activity that you all are particularly proud of at Virginia Tech that you want to share with folks? What rises to the surface for you?
We've got maybe two quick ones to talk about briefly. I'll just highlight Virginia Tech for over 20 years has been housing the Integrated Pest Management Innovation Lab, which has...
Integrated Pest Management Innovation Lab. I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. Okay.
Yes. So essentially supporting a network of research and applied development projects addressing pests that affect various crops around the world.
Amazing.
Which then has strong implications for global agricultural productivity, which is also an initiative that my friend Dickson's involved with.
All right, Dickson, he set you up. So tell us about your initiative.
He has. So the Global Agricultural Productivity Initiative, or GAP initiative, is one that promotes agricultural productivity through technologies, through innovation, and through research to boost agricultural productivity so that there is enough food to feed the world, so that issues of food insecurity and food access and food justice concerns would be addressed. So that's some of the initiatives that we do, and in the Global Agriculture Productivity Initiative. There is one component of it called the Global Agriculture Productivity Report, the GAP Report 2023. We are promoting that this year, 2022, sorry. We are promoting that so that at least people can read some of the insights that come out of researchers and out of producers. Yes.
Well, friends, it's so great to have you here joining us. I wish you well in your conference journey, and congrats on this incredible work that you're engaged in.
Online that the link to that report and a lot of our other work is on our online portal, so anyone joining online can come over and check out those.
Go find it. Virginia Tech. What was the name of the center? One more time.
Is the Center for International Research, Education, and Development, and then also CALS Global, which is the global initiatives under our College of Ag and Life Sciences.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you both so much. Appreciate your time.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris. We're here at the SID-US conference, annual conference today, and we're just talking to folks about what they're excited about. So could you give us your name and what are you excited to hear about today, Sid?
So my name is Gina Volynsky, and I've been a SID member for over 20 years now. And what I'm excited about is actually to learn more about what we're doing as far as environmental justice. And how are we going to make sure that the work that we do in environmental justice, particularly with private sector companies, doesn't actually give them license to create more problems environmentally.
Excellent. So has AI helped you in any of this work in the environmental justice area that you're working on? Or does it affect your work at all?
What do you mean by AI?
Artificial intelligence. Thank you. Yes, artificial intelligence. Has it helped you in the environmental justice field at all?
So in general, of course, in environmental justice, you use tools such as geospatial mapping and so forth, which are important, and you can use other tools. But if you're talking about things like ChatGPT, then no, we've not really used it. The only application we've seen so far is we use it to sometimes just collect a lot of background information quickly when we're trying to do some research, but otherwise not as much yet. But we're looking forward to trying to understand how it's possible to do it.
Excellent. So what other things are you working on that people should know about?
Well, so one of the things we're looking that I'm personally working on is trying to understand how you can actually measure the impact of the work that we do with the private sector on international development in a way that, how do you measure the impact of that work against the potential for it being used as a way to greenwash activities of the private sector?
Awesome. Well, we look forward to hearing more about your work, and thanks for being a SID member for so long. All right. Thanks.
All right. Tell us a bit about your work and who you are.
My name is Dr. Kenya Duggar. I'm the Senior Director of Diversity for Chemonics International. I'm excited to be here be here at SID, see how we do in diversity on a global scale.
That's fantastic. So are there specific sessions or topics? I know DEI and diversity inclusion is a big one for you. Happening today that you want to weigh in on?
Yeah, there's the DEI session that happened around 3 o'clock that I'm really interested in seeing how we try to globalize DEI at the same time, empowering people back within the communities that we work in to feel like they feel connected to what they're doing. One of the things we do here at Chemonics is our global strategy about bringing access, belonging, connection, our people and our workforce together within DEI. So I'm excited to see how other implementers are doing it across the board, connecting with other implementers, and see how we can try to make everybody across the world feel equitable and equality as we do DEI.
And folks that are watching may not, Chemonics is such a huge organization, international development, but we have got some folks watching who don't know Chemonics. Do you want to give the quick kind of what y'all do?
Chemonics is the #1 international development forum in the world. We're the best organization. So we're in 62 countries. We do everything from democratic government, water purification, health human services, everything across the board. We are just a great group of people that's trying to do good for the world.
How did you get into this work? How did you find Chemonics?
Oh, wow. So I come from the government sector, and Chemonics was always a name that you heard within the government sector. When I was abroad in other countries, I ran across other people that worked for Chemonics. And so when I transitioned from the government, Chemonics was a no-brainer. It was automatically, it fit with me and fit with the way that I approach and my values align with Chemonics. So it was a natural fit.
That's great. All right. Well, we thank you for your time so much and enjoy the conference.
Thank you.
Camille, thank you so much for joining us in the pop-up studio. Will you share a little bit about your work and projects that you are supporting at Plan?
Sure. Thank you so much. My name is Camille Carrier. I work at Plan International. We are a girls' rights organization, so we work with girls around the world to overcome gender inequality and remove social barriers that prevent girls from reaching their full potential. I work in people and culture, so I work in the HR sphere. We support our staff in all facets of their work, from our program staff to our fundraising staff, to our business development staff. PNC works across the organization so our folks can work on programming.
How has the people and culture world evolved in the past year? What are some of the trend lines that you are tracking and thinking about in your role?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and so many things have changed, people and culture, over the past couple of years in response to things like COVID. The way we work is different. The things that people want out of a workplace are very different now than what we saw previously in culture. There's more of an embracing of work-life balance, people wanting to really feel fulfilled by the work that they do and not just have a 9-to-5 that they go to. We're seeing a lot more people wanting to come to work and be fulfilled and feel connected to their work. And I'm very glad to say that at Plan, we are able to do that. We have a lot of really great people who are dedicated to our mission, and it's very exciting. But we're going to keep up with the industry changes and trends to come.
Well, Camille, we thank you so much for stopping by the booth today. Good luck in your important work at Plan, and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Okay, you take care. All right, who is next? Come on down. We are ready for you. Okay. All right. Are you both going to do it? Yes. Okay, come on. Okay, so
he has a great
okay, so I'm going to have you turn a little bit because here's our camera, and we're going to first just have you both introduce yourselves and share where you work.
Aleta Williams, and I work with GOPA Group US.
And I'm Martin Güldner, and from the headquarter GOPA Group US and GOPA in Germany. Probably I'm really one of the longest way to this conference.
Oh, wow. All the way from Germany. We did have somebody from Kathmandu in this, so but you get some credit. That is a long distance for sure. Who wants to take a stab at telling us what GOPA is all about as an organization?
I can do that. GOPA Group is the biggest and the strongest consulting group in Europe, and we are based in Frankfurt and in Brussels. And now we started also to focus on the US market. So we do work for MCC, and then Aleta will lead our operations here in Washington.
You want to share more about that?
Sure, I'm 2 weeks into the job, so
I'll have a lot of hard questions for you to trip you up after 2 weeks.
Exactly. I'm really excited to be joining this. I mean, they're deep roots. They're we, not they. We are the number one contractor in the German market, the European market. It's a group of companies working in everything from energy to environment, climate, infrastructure, education, and health. So it's a broad array of technical sectors. And so I'm really excited to be bringing that expertise into the U.S. market. I've spent a number of years working with USAID as a senior education advisor.
I love it.
Yeah, with the Africa Bureau, and then worked for a number of the largest.
Did you work in this building here?
I did. This is it's like a reunion. It's like,
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It was like deja vu, and then I started seeing some of the same people,
And all the high schoolers who come eat lunch here.
Exactly. So really happy to be here. Happy to be back at SID, and just delighted to sort of reconnect with old friends.
Yeah. Any impressions from the conference today? What kind of things are rising to the surface for you both?
From my view, it's a great conference, and the topic power shift, I think, is really what we feel is happening in the market, because we see a lot of new global developments, and if looking to, we see the alignment in defense between Europe and US. We see the alignment in diplomacy, and we will see, and that is what we believe, that's the right time to join into the market. We will see an alignment in development, because our liberal Western democratic approach to development has to be aligned against the Chinese approach. And it's very obvious when you travel through Africa. So I think it's power shift is really a good topic.
Now That's great that you bring that up. So I hear a bell ringing, so I'm going to go quick. But any impressions for you being back in this conference with this crowd, but in your new role?
I think that the challenges that we face are pretty unprecedented, and so just new thinking, breaking out of old, methodologies and approaches, and really being bold enough to try some really innovative, approaches, I think is really exciting. And people really being able to collaborate across the different sectors, breaking down those silos, and really having this sense of this collaborative energy and spirit.
Well, we thank you both for the important work that you're doing. Thank you for coming all the way from Germany to come spend the day with us. And from Petworth, too. I came from Shaw. That's a little further. Petworth is a little farther for those that don't know DC. We both had a long commute this morning. But seriously, thank you both so much for the work you do, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
All right, you take care. All right. And that's a wrap, friends. Thank you so much for joining us in this pop-up studio, round 2. And we're going to post all these videos, the recordings of them online, and share them with the folks that we interviewed. So lots of great content coming to you from these sessions in the days and weeks to come. But for now, Nick Martin signing off from the Ronald Reagan Building, SID-US.
With their communications challenges and initiatives.
That's amazing. So you're here today at the SID-US annual conference. Give us a sense of what you're excited about, what you're looking forward to in terms of conference sessions and themes.
Yes, it is our first conference that we're
first one.
Yes, and we're sponsors, and it's really important we can have the best policies on development and trying to drive social change, but at the heart of it is also communications. If you don't communicate and engage and get people to the table, it's not going to be sustainable. So we're really interested in talking about solutions to ensure that the engagement and communications is there. I'm really excited about learning about the new trends in climate change, food security, as well as the refugee crisis. So I'd like to lead a conversation on how we can incorporate development communications across the development world.
Can I ask you, since I've got you here, what do you think is the hardest thing about your job? You've started this organization. It's amazing. You're doing great work. Like, what keeps you up at night?
Ensuring that there is the localization component in everything we do. So it's one thing to work with development partners to trying to support governments and drive a lot of these well-intended policies and programs and initiatives, but it's also important that it's community-led, that it is really based at the grassroots for it to be fit for purpose, but also for it to be sustainable and for the local communities and the countries to own it. That's what keeps me up at night. How do we go about doing that? Where you're working with so many different stakeholders, everyone has a different objective, but then trying to work with everyone towards the same goal.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your message with us this morning. We wish you a wonderful conference.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care.